Can I ask you a small question before we start? How many of you have been on a treadmill? Show of hands, please. It's constant. You're breathless, you're running, and there's constant source of exhaustion. But you don't know if you're actually going anywhere. Now, what if I tell you an uncomfortable truth? What if a lot of what we call health today actually looks like this? There's constant exhaustion, there's constant movement, there's constant intensity. But underneath it all, there is anxiety, there is depression, there is tiredness, and a bad kind of exhaustion. So the question in the end is, do we think this is the real kind of fitness? The question is, are we trying, or are we just getting better at running in place? Good morning, everyone. After the introduction, again, I'm Tarannum Sehdeva. I'm finally a medical student, and I'm also a content creator since the past 3 years. And I have started fitness, and I got into working out, I think 4 years ago, and quite seriously after a lot of messing up 3 years ago. Now, I work out consistently. I track my steps, I hit my protein, I do not skip my workouts, I track my steps on my Apple Watch, I do everything that needs to be done. This is what we think health is, right? Now, I think I'm being healthy, but underneath it all, I'm just showing you that I'm healthy. But am I actually feeling healthy? Did I listen to my body? The answer is, I did not, in fact. Moving on, wellness culture nowadays, and you've heard a lot about it, is fully a performance. And that's what I'll build my talk around today. We see people tracking everything. Macros, intensity, working out, training, calories, steps, all of that. Don't do this, don't do that. Do not drink diet sodas. Maybe drink diet sodas if you want to go into a caloric deficit. All of this is just a mess in our head. But what if I tell you that made us stop listening to our bodies and made us show that we're healthy? And what if I tell you that we are not actually trying to be healthy, we're actually trying to make health a performance? I'm a medical student, and what they teach us in medical college is basically that health isn't silent. Health makes noise. Our bodies fluctuate constantly. Motivation comes and goes, and our body takes it as failure. But it's not actually failure. Our body is talking to us. And I work out every day, and me being in this entire content creator space, I try to tell myself that maybe if I talk to my audience about me resting, about me breaking down one day, or me just kind of like listening to my body and taking enough recovery, I don't think my audience would support that. Why? Because hustle culture is now glorified. You know, we see influencers, we see content creators going and, hustling. They are doing their steps even when they say, oh my God, I was sad, go work out. I was breaking down, go work out. I had a breakup, go work out. And that is somehow, since the last 3 years, been glorified, if you know what I mean. So, I have had personal instances where I have college, I get free at 4 p.m., I am going back in my cab, on the way home, and I'm thinking, my body is screaming at me, you need to rest, you need to go home and recover. But when I think about what hustle culture is, I try to tell myself and condition myself into believing that maybe that's what I should do. Maybe that's what will make my body feel better. And that's what we run around. That's what we run towards. And when I reach back home, what do? I go to the gym, I do my workout, even when I'm feeling groggy, even when I'm feeling very self-conscious. I take a gym mirror selfie, and what do I put on my stories? I tell people, whatever you're feeling, however you're feeling, you have to go work out. That's what I'm getting the message across. That's what my audience sees. That's what the people who are relying on me to be responsible enough see. So the next time a person is told to listen to their body, what do they say? They remember influencers like us. And that's what I used to do until just like 2 years ago. And that's not a small thing. Now, when we're told to rest, we don't realize that rest is not the opposite of progress. Sometimes it is indeed progress. And when I realized that body image issues are on a rise, we also ignored it very, very conveniently that body image issues come from how we act. Especially after COVID, I joined the gym after realizing that maybe, I'm a typical 19-year-old girl and I want to look better in clothes. I want to fit in with people who look good. And I also realized shortly after that even though I may have a great personality, I would be a great conversationalist, but when I enter a room, I also realized that how I look mattered, how I got myself out there, how I presented myself at the end mattered. And that's what took me to the gym. Why? Because I listened to my body. My blood work was not good. I was constantly fatigued. I was constantly exhausted. And that's what pushed me to the gym. Now, when I noticed the shift is when I started working out and I noticed change. I saw that I'm in control. I saw that there's structure. I saw that fitness culture is glorified by strength, by agility, by structure, and something that looks very impressive on Instagram, of course. And after that, shortly after, compliments started pouring in. Oh my God, you look so changed. Oh my God, you're so skinny now. How many kilograms did you even lose? My confidence shot up. My confidence went over the board where I thought that this is the only thing I need to do. And slowly during that process, I forgot and I did not even realize that I'm not listening to my body anymore. I was listening to the external sources, I was listening to external people around me, and I put my definition of health in their minds. Now, I want to ask you a simple question. Don't, answer it out loud. Just think in your minds. I'll give you 10 seconds. When was the last time you looked into a mirror, you saw your own body, and your first thought wasn't about changing it? I think the silence in your minds is a little loud, and that comes from conditioning, not awareness. This question should have been simple, but why it sounds complicated right now is because we've been conditioned to behave like that. This is not awareness, this is overload. This is our minds constantly thinking about what we should be looking like. And a study in Mental Health Foundation told us that a third of adults feel anxiety and depression all because of their body image issues. And it does not stop there. There's young women with which it gets more intense. 80% of young women feel distressed after seeing their own body. Now, it's nothing wrong with their body, but because we've been conditioned to look like somebody that we keep seeing on Instagram, we keep seeing on our feeds. Even a survey, which is very, very funny to me, it talked to gym people and people who go to the gym very regularly, and the most percentage of that gym population said that they come to work out because they want to change how they look, not how they feel healthy. So, even the population who's supposed to be improving to feel healthy, if we're not even knowing what we're improving about, then how do we rely on this system that we call fitness culture? And I've been a part of this system. I get so many DMs to me every day, and it's especially girls out of which who tell me that they need to lose weight or they need to gain weight because people are just not accepting them. And my answer to them is always one thing. It's to listen to their own body. In medical college, they also teach us one more thing, and that is that health is in silence. Health is loud. Health is noise. Our bodies are constantly making noise, and that's on the cellular level. So, if your body is silent, that probably means you're ignoring it. That probably means you don't want to listen. And that probably means that you are listening to everybody else but your own body. And that is the biggest reason why some people think they're healthy and fit looking from the outside, but inside they're not. And those reports I usually see in my college, in my hospital. I've seen people who are aesthetically great looking and they fit the aesthetic and their blood work is massively wrong. I see their stress levels are on top of the charts, their blood work of course is bad, they have very bad hormonal imbalance and their recovery is really poor. On the other hand, there are people who don't actually fit the aesthetic, but they're metabolically, physically and mentally healthy. And that's where it gets confusing. I tell myself that we're not actually confused. Maybe we're measuring the wrong things, if you get what I mean. Now, people who, come here and tell us that, I'm doing everything. I work out, I am going to the gym, I go every day, I'm tracking my steps, everything. Doctors in front of us usually tell them, are you doing it extremely or are you calling it balance? Because a lot of the things that I've heard in my hospital is that bodies are built on balance. Bodies are built on fluctuation. Bodies are built on recovery and rest isn't your enemy. Because what I've done personally in the last 3 years is constantly exhaust myself to the point where I thought that my body would award me for that. But in the end, I realized that the body will only reward me if I balance it out with enough rest, with enough recovery, and when I award the body in the end. In short, all of what we're thinking today to be health is just a hoax. Listening to your body should be the first and foremost priority for all of us here, especially in the growing age. Now, when we move forward, I want to address how people go to the gym and they think that, okay, we're perfectly healthy and we're constantly moving towards something. And again, when they look at influencers, when they look at content creators, all of it just diminishes. So aesthetic wellness is teaching us how to be healthy and how to look healthy. Again, health as a performance. It's not teaching us how to feel healthy. Because somewhere along the way, we forgot how to listen properly, we forgot how to express it properly. And me, again, I remember back when I used to work out a lot and everything, and I used to do everything on the charts. I used to follow my diet, I used to balance it out, I used to just rigorously work on myself. And I did that for 1 whole year. And I was so confident, I was like, okay, I'll do this, I'll do that, and the result would be what I want. I looked like I wanted to look like, but then I got my blood work done. The blood work was massively wrong. My vitamin D levels were, I guess it was 3, where it should be in a spectrum of 30 to 70 and above that. It was 3. And I realized, and I was in question, where I kept asking, where am I going wrong? What am I doing? Am I giving myself or my body what it needs? And I had no answer. I had nothing at all. Because what I was relying on is something that is constantly, pushed into my head. I was consuming more than I was creating. I was consuming content, I was consuming facts that I didn't know were true. So, what I talked about today is that the treadmill that we all thought about in the beginning, maybe we're constantly running, maybe we're constantly exhausted, and maybe we're constantly trying to get to a destination, and that's what modern wellness looks like in today's world. But in fact, we forget to realize that we're in fact on a treadmill. So the best thing sometimes is not to run harder or increase the speed. The best thing sometimes is to just step off. That's the best thing sometimes. And that's when, I'll say it again, being healthy is not always the priority. Performing healthy is not always the priority. At the end, you need to start paying attention to how you feel and how your body feels. That's how it is. Health is not supposed to be shown, not on your stories, not on how you look, and not in your photos. It's supposed to be felt. And at the end, I'll leave you with just a question. The next time you're just trying to be healthy, ask yourself, am I trying to be healthy because I feel like it, or because I'm showcasing a performance? Thank you so much.